Focus. Steve, how's it going?
Pretty good.
Let's talk about the factory orders being up. What does that mean?
Yep, economic numbers are pretty good this morning, and we got some early data this week. Factory orders, big items, cars, washing machines, things like that, are up over last year, and again, showing a slow but steady positive move. But the challenge, again, for a lot of the manufacturers who ship things overseas, the strong dollar is forcing them to raise their prices. So it's impacting it a little bit, but the numbers are pretty good.
Looking ahead, we're waiting for a jobs report to come out this Friday.
Yep. This is something that's important to the Federal Reserve, which is why I bring it up. One of the big factors that they look at are labor costs and labor numbers. So we are going to get a jobs report this Friday, and if the numbers look good, it'll give more credibility to the Fed potentially raising interest rates. But the key number they look at are wages as well. Just because we create jobs, as we've seen the last couple of months, the wages haven't gone up commensurately. And that's one thing the Fed looks at. It's called wage inflation. So in that report, if they see some wage inflation, could be indicative of what they're going to do.
So we're waiting for changes, see if there's any there. And speaking of changes, McDonald's really trying to change their image these days. Why is that company doing this?
If you've been in a McDonald's recently, you can tell McDonald's sales have really suffered the last couple of years. A lot of cultural shifts as to why this is the case. But I bring this up because McDonald's is an American legend, right? I mean, they've been in business 60 years, but they have really fallen behind the times. A lot more Americans are going to the Chipotles and more healthy alternatives. And the challenge is McDonald's as a brand, it's very tough to change that image. If you ask 10 people and you mention McDonald's, what do they think? They think Big Mac, fatty burgers, lots of calories. Very tough to change that, right? So McDonald's announced today they're going to be making some organizational changes in the next few months to try to make that brand more relevant again. And it's just very difficult to do.
You know, we talk about McDonald's wanting to shift their image, but since you're here in studio, we wanted to talk to you about the Travel and Tourism Week that kicks off today for the entire nation. But here in Las Vegas, so important that we keep our image. Can you talk about how important that is to our economy?
And Vegas gives you the perfect contradiction to McDonald's, right? If you ask a lot of people 10, 15 years ago, what do you think about Las Vegas? Usually gambling is the first thing that comes to mind. Today, it's a lot different. You know, more than half of our revenue is shopping, entertainment, golf, and nightclubs, things like that, fine dining. So now the name Vegas as a brand means something totally different than it did 15 years ago. And that's the challenge a company like McDonald's is going to have. But Vegas has always been really good at changing its brand and keeping itself relevant. And Vegas is no more now gambling than it is entertainment, right? It's mostly entertainment.
The LVCVA has just done a brilliant job with so many of their campaigns. What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. You know, and that's just become a popular cultural saying, if you will, not just a slogan for the city. So they've really done a great job. And you know, speaking of Vegas, we do things big, and we couldn't let you leave here without commenting on the big fight weekend.
Vegas, again, historically has been known as a fight town, and this is one of more examples. So we need to keep drawing these big events. Other cities are really competing to try to get these events, but Vegas still has that panache of putting on the big events. Now, the $200 million plus both fighters received for this fight, to me, you know, it sounds crazy because I've heard people all weekend, oh, can you believe how much Pacquiao and Mayweather made over this? There are those that'll argue it was a bargain. When you think of how much money was brought into Vegas the last week and a half, I would argue those guys deserve every nickel. I mean, hundreds of millions of dollars, even billions. The numbers haven't been calculated yet, but the pin action and the multiplier effect, we call it in economics. For every dollar somebody spends in Vegas, it trickles down to the bartenders and the cocktail servers and everybody else. The multiplier really created billions for us. So those two guys really did a good job for us.
So we're all winners. Hey, Steve, good to see you. Thanks so much. We're going to be right back here on Midday. Stay with us, everyone.